In this video we're going to talk about the Renaissance. Now the Renaissance begins in Italy in the 1300s. It begins in Italy because of their access to easy trade due to the Mediterranean Sea. During this time we see an increased amount of trade as a result of the Crusades. Now the Renaissance is an era of renewed interest and remarkable developments in art, literature, science, and learning. It is also known as a time of rebirth. Now the causes of the Renaissance are increased trade with Asia and other regions, this again being a result of the Crusades. We also see the growth of large and wealthy city-states in Italy. And during this time, Italy was broken up into many different city-states, and each city-state fought for power. As you can see in this map, Italy was not always unified. Okay, we see a lot of different city-states making up the Italian peninsula. Each city-state having their own government and their own ways of life, okay, but all wanting to be as powerful as they possibly could, and they all want that trade. We also see during this time renewed interest in the classical learning of ancient Greece and Rome. What we see is a lot of these Greek scholars trying to escape these Ottoman Turks that are invading, okay, and so they leave Greece and they move into Italy. During this time we also see the rise of rich and powerful merchants who become patrons of art. As you can see, patrons of art, or patrons, is highlighted or in a different font. That means it is a vocabulary word. So what you need to do is you need to write that down. Now, what does it mean to become a patron of art? Well, all a patron of art is somebody who invests or supports artists. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. Another cause of the Renaissance is increased desire and increased desire for scientific and technical knowledge, and a desire to beautify cities. Now, in order to beautify your city, okay, you got to have money, and everybody wants to show that they have money, and the way that you do that is you beautify your city. Now, during the Middle Ages, education was centered around religion. So remember how we talked about the art and education was all had a religious theme. Okay, people turned to religion during the Middle Ages because it was an extremely tough time to live. Okay, and so religion, mainly being Christianity, appealed to these people. Now, after the Middle Ages, okay, education becomes more secular, or in other words, it becomes more worldly. Okay, becomes more about nature rather than having a spiritual focus. During this time we see humanism come about, okay, and all humanism is just subjects like rhetoric and grammar, poetry, history, Latin, and Greek. Now humanists pretty much went against what the Christian church was emphasizing or teaching. Humanists emphasized individual achievement, and that contrasted with the church. Now the Italian Renaissance. So what we're going to see is that the Renaissance is broken up into two different time periods. We're going to have the Italian Renaissance and the Northern Renaissance. Today we're going to talk about the Italian Renaissance. The Italian Renaissance, we see the science versus the church. During this time, humanists are beginning to discover a wealth of scientific information that begins to challenge what the church has taught. And when we say the church, we're talking about the Christian church. Now, for example, the Christian church taught that the earth was the center of the universe. However, Nicholas Copernicus comes up with the heliocentric theory, and this is that the sun is the center of the universe. And Galileo Galilei will also come to support this theory. Renaissance art. Now, just like with education, Middle Ages art was assembled around or focused around a religious theme. During the Renaissance, art begins to break away from that, and we see Renaissance art having more to do with things that are observed in nature. Now in this next video, we're going to talk about the important people of the Italian Renaissance.